the way back in October of last year, we started a mission of visiting each and every one of the 20 Premier League stadiums. Now last week, we ticked number 19 off that list. The Amex, home of course to Brighton and Hove Albion. Which means today we're ticking the final stadium off that list, number 20. And I think we've saved the best until last. Of course, we're here in Luton. But hang on. According to most other YouTubers, today's destination, we may as well say it, haven't we? KENILWORTH Road, of course, is apparently, according to other YouTubers, the worst Premier League stadium. Those of you who followed the journey and are subscribers of the channel, you'll know I love the old, quirky grounds, full of nostalgia. So something tells me I'm not going to agree with that statement. Granted, behind me you've got the infamous Domino's Oak Stand. It's sponsored now, Domino's. Set amongst this terraced housing, and obviously the way in to the Oak Road stand overlooks these people's beautiful gardens. Sounds nice. Although technically now KENILWORTH Road isn't the smallest ground in the Premier League, it was when they were promoted. It had a capacity of around 10,300, but obviously alterations, modifications, all the work that's been done here since they got promoted has now made the capacity around 12,000. And in comparison, Bournemouth's, the Vitality Stadium, which is now technically the smallest stadium in the Premier League, is around 11,500. So, according to Wikipedia, local fans, Luton fans, refer to KENILWORTH Road as the Kenny. Seems obvious. But also the Old Girl. Now, when we visited Fratton Park, we mentioned that Portsmouth fans also call Fratton Park the Old Girl. But I used Wikipedia for my resource of information, and a few Pompey fans disagreed and said they've never heard Fratton Park be referred to as the Old Girl. So maybe Luton fans don't call it the Old Girl, but it's the Kenny anyway. So even though Luton have been playing here since 1905, as you can see behind me, Luton Town was founded all the way back in 1885. So they did hop between grounds until they settled here all those years ago. Now I've just come from the site of where Luton are building their new stadium. And in that video, I referenced the fact that Luton have been looking for a new ground since going all the way back to 1955. Luton are pretty much the definition of a yo-yo club, and they've hopped from first tier all the way down to non-league numerous times. Well, maybe not non-league, but at least down to the fourth tier. And all the way back in the 50s, KENILWORTH Road was deemed as unsuitable for first tier football back in the 50s. And how ironic is it that in recent times we've had the same debate. Changing the subject for one moment, all the coaches behind me are where the players and staff and stuff enter. So Oak Road is actually closed off on match day, understandably, because it's absolute carnage. So I'm sure the residents here, they've got to be Luton fans, because would you put up with all this kerfuffle, all this carnage on match day? And I've not even mentioned, have I? You might have noticed a lack of orange, white, bit of navy blue. You might have noticed an absence, especially of orange. That's because we're here today not to watch Luton, unfortunately. Luton currently aren't doing stadium tours, and getting tickets for Luton in their first, not their first time in the top tier, but their first time in what is now the Premier League, has meant tickets have been like gold dust. So I saw an opportunity today, as today we're watching a women's game for the first time on the channel, as Newcastle United will face hashtag United, of course, in a cup final match. So this is going to be really, really interesting. But today's all about KENILWORTH Road and Luton. So let's head down Oak Road, do the 360. I wonder if the shop is open. It might not be because Luton aren't playing. Let's have a look round, guys. So as I just mentioned, Luton have had a bit of a yo-yo history. Now, everyone knows their recent rise from non-league to Premier League. But this isn't the first time Luton have hopped up and down the leagues. You see, they made their debut in the first division at the time, the top tier, what is now the Premier League, all the way back in 1956. They stayed in the top tier for a few years. They even reached an FA Cup final in 1959, but the following season they were relegated, and by 1965 they'd slipped all the way back down to the fourth tier of English football. But like any good yo-yo club would do, from 1968 to 1974, Luton would climb their way all the way back up that ladder to the first division once again. Back down and back up again. They'd then spend a decade in the top flight of English football until the rebrand in '92 to the Premier League. Within that time, they'd also win the League Cup. So as I mentioned earlier on, we're here today for the FA Women's National Cup Final. I think that's what it's called. So I'm going to look forward to that game. But as we're here on Oak Road, there's nothing really for me to pick out. It's your typical British terraced housing that backs onto many an old school of football ground. We're going to be sat in the main stand because I could not get tickets for the Oak Road stand. I'm guessing it's not open. Obviously, there's not really segregated seating, although pretty much everyone who's passed me is a Geordie. And fair play to the Newcastle fans. Not only do they travel to men's games in numbers, they've obviously come all the way from bloody Newcastle to Luton, which is a hell of a trek. And doing that for the women's team just shows how committed they are to their club in general. It's carnage here already. We've got like an hour and a half until kick-off. And what road am I on now? I have no idea what road this is, but this seems to be like a high street where all the shops are and stuff. I'll try and ask someone in a moment. The A505 according to Google Maps, but we're heading now down this way, Beach Road. Ooh, now this is very much a Rise Football Paradise shot over here. Look at that in the distance. Floodlights, rough and ready stand. Let's go check it out. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. This is crazy. How many Premier League grounds do you see like this? Let's make our way through this alleyway. So I just spoke to a few Newcastle fans. Most of them have stayed overnight. But here we go. You can see behind me the alleyway. Now, as I said earlier, how many Premier League grounds? Oh yeah. What's your score prediction today?
Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle 2-1.
Come on. Yeah, how many Premier League grounds you see with alleyways like this? We did see Craven Cottage, I suppose. That stand that leads to the Riverside stand, the one that's quite near the Thames with like the park behind. It was a little bit like this, but it had like a park around it. So I'm loving this quirky little alleyway. Actually, Fratton Park as well. Fratton Park had that really tiny alleyway as well, didn't it? But this is awesome. I'm loving it. So everyone references Oak Road. This is Ivy Road, but look how close this terraced housing is to the ground. Just look at that house over there. Literally almost touching this stand. I think it's the main stand. Everyone tells me it is. Crazy. I'm guessing they don't get a great deal of sunlight in their gardens, but maybe they're a mad hatter. And obviously the hatters, if you've been living under a rock, is reference to the hat making, the history of hat making here in the town. Now, what should we do? Should we head back down and ask? Let's go along the alleyway. I think we're going to see a lot of similar sights, terraced housing, old school looking, rough and ready stands. So I don't know if you heard that on the tannoy, the kickoff is 1 hour away. So 1 hour to explore this fabulous stadium.
Do it again. Perfect time to get from the shop.
So I wasn't sure if the shop was going to be open today. Obviously it is. Quite a little shop, as you'd expect. But remember, every time we visit a Premier League stadium, we have to buy one item from the club shop. One item at least, anyway. I think because it's the last of the series, let's buy two. Let's go. So, stay tuned to the end of the video to find out what I bought from the club shop. Now, I've been chatting absolute gibberish because that alleyway doesn't back onto the main stand. People in the shop have told me, I don't even know what the name of that stand is. I'll put it on the screen for you right now. The main stand is behind me over there, where all the action's happening. Down that way, so that's where we're going to be sat for this Women's Cup final. But of course, I'm on Kenilworth Road itself. That is something I do love about old school British football stadiums, is just the simplicity of the name of the stadium. So many iconic English grounds are just named after the road they run parallel with. Obviously this is no different. I'm currently down Hazelbury Crescent. So we can't do a 360 down the main stand. I should have known that because I said in the other video where we looked at Luton Town's new grounds that it runs along a train line and obviously a busy road. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to review the main stand mango burger.
Hello, mate. Cheers, buddy. Thank you, mate. Lovely. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
So we're entering through gate G, over there, and you've got this fantastic view of that track I was on about and the road. We'll have to have a little wander after the game to get a closer look of the outside of this stand. But I'm pleasantly surprised. Still got a hint of non-league football. Obviously, it wasn't long ago Luton were non-league. Just look at that entranceway. How many Premier League grounds have got entranceways like that? Bit of a free-for-all, yeah, I think so. But it's nice, been able to wander around, isn't it? So this is absolutely incredible. I'm supposed to be sat all the way in the corner by the oak stand. So the scran was nice. The stadium is old school. I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know already. But the support here is great. You can see behind me the developed stand over there. Probably remember that rather unique, unorthodox side they had with all the executive boxes, hospitality areas. Right then guys, so I'm guessing there's no other Premier League stadiums with this kind of seating. As someone with a bad back, let's see how my back holds up for 90 minutes. As a reminder, prior to the renovations taking place at the start of the season, well, I think they've only just finished them actually, this stadium capacity-wise was about 10,300. Obviously now it's about 12,000. They've sunk like 10 million, I think, into the ground. I was just chatting to a Barnsley fan who's on his way to England tonight. I reckon they spent 10 million on this place. That's literally a drop in the ocean when you think of the money Luton have made from making it to the Premier League. Obviously, the new stadium is going to cost a hell of a lot more than that. You wonder why they've kind of slowed down on the new stadium, apart from COVID and costs and stuff. It's probably because of all the money they spent on this place. So he's absolutely throwing it down. What you're going to find now is loads of people are going to come out of here because this corner of the ground is not covered. They're trickling out, Oh, missed the goal, This is English football at its finest. Don't you worry about the fact that women are playing. You see, I made that mistake of saying that they're all going to escape the rain, but these are the Geordies we're talking about. The people of Newcastle don't move because of a little bit of rain. Let's get amongst the Geordies, shall we? Sorry, mate. So the Women's Cup Final second half is underway, but I thought I'd better mention that it's crazy. For those younger, you might not be aware of the Bradford fire disaster of the mid-80s. Bradford City had a stand, timber frame stand, and obviously rumour has it that somebody put a cigarette in between those wooden panels, and obviously that stand went up in flames within minutes, and unfortunately a lot of people lost their lives. So it's quite strange seeing these wooden flooring. I know obviously the roof is like metal corrugated. Obviously it passes the laws introduced after that disaster, but it's a real throwback. You can see over there as well, you've got wooden seating too. So it's not just a cliche when people come here, it very much is a throwback. Like if I just flip the camera around, just look at that view, completely obstructed by all kinds of beams holding the roof up. We're so used to cantilever roofs now. Obviously this is a massive contrast to Brighton last week. When we were at the Amex, Joe let us know about how every single seat in the Amex is a padded seat, extra leg room, extra wide seating as well. Whereas if you just look at these seats, obviously on a day like today there's loads of room, but normally match day when Luton are playing in the Premier League, this place is going to be rammed. And even the Geordies who are cheering on the Newcastle women's team, they've built up an atmosphere, and this main stand has been shaking, absolutely shaking, when people get chanting away and banging and so on. So I can imagine when Luton are doing well in the Premier League, this stand is absolutely rocking. So if we just talk briefly about Luton's kit colour scheme, they obviously play in like an orangey red, an orange at the moment with, is it blue shorts or white shorts? White trim. Obviously the away kit is white with a bit of orange on. But Luton have chopped and changed their colours numerous times over the years. They had a white home shirt, they had a white and black kit from like 1920 until, God, good for a couple of decades anyway. Prior to the 20s, they played in various shades of blue. But yeah, more recently, they've hopped between orange and white. I mean, a lot of clubs have changed colours like 100 years ago, but Luton have changed quite a lot in recent times. I've really enjoyed looking at the inside of Kenilworth Road. I was here ready to dismiss the allegations that this might be the worst Premier League stadium that a lot of YouTubers say, but I think even Luton Town fans will say it's charming, it's old school, it's a throwback, and we all love a bit of nostalgia. But realistically, some of those views are quite questionable. A lot of structural beams, but at the end of the day, Luton fans, you've got a whole new swanky stadium coming up at Power Court, so check out that video as well. We'll have a little wander around the site. But let's get back to the car now, guys, because in my hand I've got a couple of items from the Luton Town Club shop. So I'll see you back at the car. Lovely jubbly, lovely jubbly. Ladies and gents, I've got the suitcase from the van, but what do we have in this suitcase? Well, we've got the contents purchased at Kenilworth Road. You guys had a few guesses on the live stream on Wednesday night. I asked you, what do you think? What do you think is in this bag? What did I get from the club shop? We had a few guesses saying a plush, a Luton Town plush. Well, ladies and gents, you were correct with the first item. I can't even remember his name. You've got a male and female character. Here we go. Happy Harry Teddy. £18 for this bloody teddy. Cost a bomb, but he looks good, doesn't he? So that's our first item. And of course, you can't go to Kenilworth Road and not actually buy a bloody sign. We've got a few round here. Craven Cottage, got a couple of Man United ones, so I might start collecting these as well. And I hope you enjoy. I hope you're enjoying the vlogs, because that is the very last Premier League stadium we visited. But remember, we're buying something from each club shop. But when we went to Forest, it was kind of an unofficial trip. We snuck in. The club shop was closed. It was later on at night. We watched a Notts County game, so we are returning this Tuesday for the game against Fulham to tick an item off the list and to complete our collection of buying an item, or at least one item, from every Premier League club shop. So ladies and gents, there we go, Kenilworth Road. It's been a pleasure. I hope you like my Nag's Head FC top. Got Trotter's independent trading there. Trotter on the back, you got a bit of Peckham Spring on the go. Ladies and gents, if you've enjoyed this video, remember to tap that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in one of these videos surrounding me right here. Loads of good content coming up at the channel. I've got a massive backlog of videos to edit. So yeah, lots of stadium tours. We've done Barnsley, Borough. Again, we're back at the City ground. There's a never-ending list. We're loving it. I'll see you in one of those videos.